but I'm going to have to actually... Okay, well that didn't go particularly successfully. Hi, I'm Ash from DroningON. You might recall from part 1 of our Wingsland S6 review that we unboxed this new stylish and impressive drone. It has a 4K camera, folding arms with brushless motors. We even opened it up to see what was inside. In part 2, we explored the app. It too showed real potential, although many of the features were still locked, awaiting additional development. I then promised part 3, which would be the flight test of the Wingsland S6. I chose a beautiful day for it too, and had intended to release that video just a few days after part 2, but filming didn't go very smoothly. Okay, so we've now got 14 satellites, which is perfect, so let's give this a go. Okay, just checking around, no one around, good. Okay, I think we are good to go. So, takeoff. Got to confirm that the aircraft would like to take off automatically. Brilliant. Yep, we're on a flat and horizontal surface. Here we go. Props powering up. And very smoothly it goes up into the air. So this is a really good now test for the hover. Let's see how well it holds its GPS position. And it's quite windy actually. There's a fair bit of wind today. And I can see it fighting, it's rising up a little bit as the wind comes in, but actually it's doing all right. And I'm going to interrupt at that point to highlight the first problem. The battery, despite being fully charged, drains down to 0% within just 30 seconds of flight, causing the S6 to commence auto land. We're about 2 feet away from our initial position now, but that's not bad at all. And down it went, landing itself nicely, but leaving me very frustrated. But I tried again. I restarted the phone and the S6, hoping that the battery level might recalibrate itself. So just flying it around, freestyle now at the moment. I managed to get about another minute out of the S6 until the same happened again. With just a single battery sent to me, I had no choice but to go home. I charged up the battery and gave indoor mode a try. Indoor flight is not going to use GPS, it's going to use optical flow, and the S6 has a downward facing camera installed underneath it. So it's sat on the table, as you can see at the moment. We've set up the camera and let's give this a try. Now you can see the app in the corner of the screen as well, so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to press takeoff and let's see what happens. I'm stood outside the room incidentally, nobody else is in the room, and if you are going to fly a drone indoors, please be really, really careful because it can go wrong. Okay, so here goes. I'm going to press the takeoff button. I get a confirmation flying indoors, etc., flying outdoors and before takeoff, just to give me some warnings about what can happen. I'm going to press continue and then press the button to confirm auto takeoff. Okay, so it's in the air. I think I can see the optical flow camera trying its best to keep the drone in one position. Remember that we have no GPS, this is purely hovering on optical flow, and as you can see from the app, I am giving absolutely no inputs here whatsoever. It seems to actually be coming back to its original position. On first takeoff, it did actually move away a little bit from the table, and it is drifting a little bit now as well, but it seems to be returning back to where it originally took off. You can see it's making some minor corrections to its path there, all by itself as well. Again, I've still not given any inputs into the app here. The S6 had drifted so far from its takeoff spot that it hit the wall and crashed. The optical flow camera just does not work, but I decided to try again with a different floor surface. This time in the kitchen, but before starting again, I recalibrated the S6 to ensure that the compass and the accelerometers were not the reason for the poor indoor flight performance. Okay, so let's hope that this test goes a little smoother than the one before. Here we go, I'm going to press takeoff. Let's see if it can hold its position on this floor instead. Okay, we've got a little bit of drift again, as before. I'm not going to put any control inputs in yet. I'm going to have to give some in a minute to stop it from crashing. It's all over the place at the moment. Okay, I'm going to give it some control inputs now to keep it in the center of the room. And let's leave it a few seconds now to see if it can recover. Okay, the screen has actually just gone red, so we've got a battery complaint at the moment. It is keeping its position fairly erratically, but it is just about staying in the middle of the room. Okay, we've got 20% battery. Again, it's all over the place. I'm actually going to land it now by pressing the landing button. So here we go. So unfortunately, not a great first flight test for the Wingsland S6, a drone that physically has so much potential, but the firmware and the app seem to be letting it down at this time. It has two fundamental problems. First of all, the optical flow camera and its inability to maintain a stable and safe hover indoors. The second is the battery. Now, the battery I was supplied with the Wingsland S6 gave about a minute's flight time if lucky. I spoke to Wingsland and they sent me a replacement battery. When I tested that, it gave me about 7 minutes reliably. Comparing the two batteries, there are some minor differences. If you look at the top of the battery, you can see that the printing of the Wingsland and the battery rating and cell count is slightly different. The battery which gives me the 7 minutes of flight time is the battery with the print entirely in orange. The other battery is the battery shipped with the S6, and this one seems to be faulty. That's about the only identifiable difference, although flipping the batteries over, the serial number of the faulty battery is later than the serial number of the working battery. That could be a concern, and it might mean that newly manufactured batteries have this issue. Check your battery now if you own an S6 and comment below to let me know which you have, and also if you're experiencing any battery issues. Despite the problems experienced so far, but equipped with my new battery sent to me from Wingsland, I took the S6 on a rather windy day to a local park to test Follow Me. So off to the park we went. It was slightly breezy, but in terms of the flight, the S6 handled it really well. I've got EIS enabled at this time and I'm shooting in 1080p at 60 frames per second. The video quality really is quite good, and in the future I will try 4K as well and post the videos here. In addition, I had no battery issues using the new battery. In fact, flight time was about 6 to 7 minutes. After flying away and gaining some altitude as a basic range test, I then brought the S6 in closer to prepare the angle ready for Follow Me mode. The S6 does have a fixed angle lens, and so unfortunately you have to center yourself in frame by altering the altitude and the distance it flies away from you. Once you enable Follow Me mode, the S6 maintains its position that you set in relation to your own position, and therefore it can follow you not just from behind, but also from the side or diagonal. But remember that without a gimbal, your video is likely to be tilted as the S6 flies forwards. Whilst in Follow Me mode, you can also make adjustments to the following angle. I bring the S6 in towards us at this point so that we can follow closer, and after manually adjusting the position, the S6 resumes follow mode. I'm giving no control inputs at this time. The S6 is flying itself entirely. So after a short test of Follow Me, we then took a few photos. So I stopped video mode, switched to camera and captured these. As a selfie drone, this is definitely where the S6 excels itself at the moment. The camera is brilliant, the photos are crisp and sharp, and these photos are straight out of the drone, no manipulation or photoshopping. A final Follow Me test. Remember that the S6 has no obstacle avoidance, and so be wary of trees and dogs. In forward-facing Follow Me mode, unfortunately the autonomous movements of the S6 are very apparent. The rocking motion is really annoying and it makes the video almost unusable. I saw precisely the same symptoms with the Inagafly One Plus, and it's simply a case of a badly designed Follow Me algorithm. Movements instructed by the flight controller should be smooth and proportional, otherwise the video becomes useless. Worryingly, during this test I also spotted a sign of the toilet bowl effect. This is whereby the overcorrection from the flight controller leads to the drone starting to spiral and circle. As soon as I disabled Follow Me, the drone recovered in a stable hover, but work is definitely needed to improve that. In summary, Follow Me mode on the S6 just is not working well at the moment. It was my original intention to flight test the Wingsland S6 over 2 months ago, and I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, but I wanted to give Wingsland time to evolve the firmware and the app beyond the issues that I saw back in January. It's getting better, but there are still a number of issues, clearly with indoor flight and also quality control around the battery. Wingsland themselves are members of most of the Facebook groups and are listening to the feedback from consumers, and so hopefully we will see some improvement in the firmware and app in the coming months. But the question now is, will it be soon enough to compete with the Zerotech Dobby, which at this time is the superior drone? I now have both, and I'm going to be doing some head-to-head testing, so click that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and also comment below if you own either of these drones or you're thinking of buying them. In the meantime, all of my testing results go back to Wingsland, so let's hope that they can evolve this drone to do what we hoped it would be able to do. Thanks very much for watching.